So, hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And as you finally can see in the background is another article by Andrew Huberman or the Andrew Huberman podcast. Finally, I have the ability again to record here on my computer, and I am quite excited for this one. It is about stretching and the impact stretching has on health. I have to confess that I do not stretch quite at all. I don't do that for whatever reason. I have never liked it, and I've basically never done it either. So let's have a look, I think. During episode 67, I discussed the biological mechanisms of flexibility, highlighting the communication between the nervous system, muscles, and surrounding connective tissue. I also detailed key features of the major 4 different types of stretches. Below I describe the key takeaways, messages for building flexibility, and I outline same protocols that can be used and modified to develop your own optimal stretching routine, which sounds pretty good, pretty great. Oh, there's something. Aging causes a natural decline in the range of motion over which our limbs and joints can move. From age 20 to 49, our flexibility declines by 10% each decade. So when we're calculating that, is this in general or from 20 to 49 declines? 10% each decade would be actually pretty interesting to know. Studies show, however, that a dedicated stretching routine can and will give you improved range of motion in your limbs and joints, aka more flexibility. People might think, well, why is that important? Why should I give a shit? Why should I do this? I hate flexing. I hate stretching because it's painful. I just dislike it. So why should I be doing it? I think when we are older, we would really love to have that more range of motion. Everything is a bit slower. Everything, I don't want to say it hurts, but some things might hurt. Some things might just not be that nice, and so on and so forth. And I would assume that we all would appreciate a bit more easiness in life and a bit more, therefore, flexibility. But let's have a look at actual things it does to the body. There we go. Benefits of stretching. In addition to alleviating general feelings of tightness, increasing flexibility can also contribute to improvements in overall general health, balance/stability, improved posture, smoother gait, and elevated physical performance, and it can reduce pain. Stretching can also reduce inflammation. Some data in animal models suggests it may even potentially reduce the risk of cancer. I think all of these things, especially general health, let's think about just doing sports. Stretching, at least in my head, is somehow connected to moving your body. Moving your body is always going to be good and will always going to be good in whatever age you are. Whether you're very young, whether you are very old, moving your body, whether it is walking, and I would also kind of say sometimes bringing your heart rate a bit up. Of course, it depends on various different factors, so saying this in general may be wrong, but it has something to do with moving your body. When you're stretching, you have to move your body, you're feeling your body, and you might also kind of create a bit of more connection between your soul, your head, your mind, and your body. No need to stretch intensely or for very long. Ryan et al., or et al., whatever, showed that micro-stretching, defined for the study as 30 to 40%, where 100% would be slightly painful, is more effective than increasing the intensity of the stretch. So whatever stretching routine you adopt, know that you do not need to push your limbs/joints to a point where you feel pain. Consistency and frequency will pay dividends for long-term flexibility and not intensity. Most people will also be pleased to learn that an effective stretching protocol can take as little as 5 minutes per day. And in those 5 minutes, focusing on the most important stretches, probably hip flexors, since we are sitting all day long and we all have a very tight one, which is located, let me see how I can explain that, quite actually at the hip, yeah, between the outermost part of your hip and your crotch. I think this is quite where the hip flexor is. I could show you a picture, but you can Google that. This might be one, also definitely the back, also neck muscles and whatever, that, since we're all sitting quite for long periods of time each and every day, it might be good to have, might be good to consider as well. Static stretching. While dynamic and ballistic stretching, both types involve swinging limbs and using momentum, can be helpful prior to performance-based activity in sports, a routine built on static stretching appears to be most effective at increasing long-term flexibility. Bandy et al., and there is, by the way, everything linked. If you want to have a look at those studies, if you want to have a look at this data, you can for sure also do so. He or she determined that 30 seconds is the minimum threshold for flexibility benefits for static hold stretches, generating no momentum to move or through the stretch. The stretching routine frequency is a key factor in long-term flexibility improvements. In a comprehensive review of different stretching routines, Palmer et al. Found that a minimum stretching frequency of 5 times per week, with a total stretching time of 5 minutes per muscle group per week, was optimal. And I do want to underline optimal. That's it. It is optimal. Which does not mean if you're doing less, it has no effect, because it does have an effect. If you're doing more, might actually get worse, might be better. Depends really on what optimal is considered to be, whether it is time efficiency, optimal, or whether. Static stretching, the basic protocol. Do 2 to 4 sets of 30-second static holds per muscle group 5 days per week. Note, meeting the goal of 5 minutes per muscle group per week can also be achieved by holding each stretch a bit longer. For example, 60 seconds instead of 30 seconds. By increasing the hold time per stretch, you can reduce the frequency, such as stretching every other day as opposed to 5 times per week. That said, don't try to stretch once or twice a week for a long time and expect much progress. Better do a little bit of each day. The research shows that consistency beats duration and intensity when it comes to increasing flexibility. So this was the first part of this wonderful it's not an episode, piece of this newsletter in general. Pretty great, really good. I really do enjoy it, because it has such a lot of information and it is so compiled and at hand. It's I don't know, it might be 1,000 words or something, and you're having so many different insights and so many very useful insights that you can also use for your everyday life, period. And there is many more of it. So this is the newsletter from July, so there are a few more. The August one should then be available, I guess, I would assume, at the end of September, I would say, or beginning of October. Apparently there's always 1 month of difference there, unless of course you have subscribed to the podcast, which you can do on the very bottom of it, so you might be getting it a bit earlier, but I don't really know. I haven't checked my mailbox, to be honest. So what we can learn here is static stretching. What I found pretty interesting is doing a bit less each and every day is better than doing quite a lot 2 times a week or 3 times a week. This is interesting because could we just also use this knowledge and use this this way of thinking, way of approaching something also in other fields of our life? With that being said, I'm gonna see you the next time. I at least hope. So, bye bye.